This trip is an 8-mile hike up to a massive mountain lake where we camp on a ridge overlooking the entire lake. I'll be trying to catch some fish in the Alpine lakes, doing some polar plunges, and enjoying the last bit of summer weather in the mountains. We just started our hike. It's about 8 miles up to a mountain lake where we're gonna go camping for the night. So it's 8 miles and I don't know how much elevation. I don't really want to know because my legs are already hurting. My girlfriend and I actually tried doing this hike like last March and there was 10 feet of snow on the trail and it took us like 4 hours to go 1.5 miles. So we didn't make it that far, but we did camp at one of the lakes here. It was like a winter wonderland. It was really pretty. When we were here in the winter last year, this whole river was full of water and flowing and rushing, and now it's completely dried up. You feel it shaking? We were good little hikers this morning and woke up at 4:30 and got to the trailhead before 7, and the parking was completely full. So really hoping that we have a campsite when we get to the lake. The trail's been relatively flat so far, but the elevation's starting to come in because we're doing the climb to the first lake. There's like 4 lakes along this trail, and the first one's where we camped last time because that's all we could do in the snow. The second and third one are like smaller ones, and then the fourth one is a giant lake up top, and that giant one's the goal. This is an example of the old growth here, and we have a mini human for scale. A lot of the old growth has like died off or like rotted off or something, but this one's still alive and growing. I remember this too. We went around this that way when we hiked this part in the snow was like almost to the top of there, so that shows you how much snow there was. We started hiking like as the sun was rising, and so it's still like a nice crisp cool morning. The bugs aren't out yet. It is really nice and I'm having a blast so far. I think there's a steep part that's gonna kick in soon though, and so I'll check back in then. Made it to the first lake, and it took 45 minutes instead of 4 hours. Looks a little different. I wasn't filming anything when we hiked this last year, but I did take a lot of pictures, so I want to try to find the pictures and compare them to what it looks like now, because it was crazy. The whole lake was frozen. Like none of this was recognizable except where we camped. A little better view of the lake. See the sunbeam coming straight from over that mountain. Mr. Sun has now made it through. It's about to get really hot. Coming up on the 3-mile mark. It's only been like 1.5 hours, so we're doing 30-minute miles. 5 miles left. We have entered the switchback portion of the trip. Limbo. Limbo. It's so bad. That's not supposed to be there. Usually there's like an obvious way around, but just be careful. Okay, so big tree in the way. On the other side of the big tree is a switchback. So up here is where the trail would continue to. That is a huge trunk. A couple scrapes. Good to go. There's a cool breeze coming off the running water. Feels so nice. Came across a blueberry bush. Oh, this one actually looks good. There's not many left on here. We just passed the second lake, but we're on our way to the third lake, and we're gonna stop and have some lunch at 10 in the morning. Early lunch. Got more blueberries.
Same.
This water's coming from the third lake, which is right up this way. Just constantly looking for more blueberries because they're so freaking good. Ew.
Thank you.
Stopped at the third lake for lunch. We're back at it. I think we have like 3 more miles to go. This trail just continues along this lake the whole way. It's such a pretty part of the trail. Oh man, steps are the worst. Coming up on the fourth lake. I don't remember if I said there were 4 or 5 along this way, but there's 5. We just passed a guy coming down who camped at this fourth lake, who said that the fifth lake was completely full last night, which was a Friday night. I feel like a lot of people didn't work on Friday in order to come out this far. The sun's shining on it, it's so pretty. It looks like I just murdered somebody, but it's all just blueberries. They're so good. It's Mount Baker all the way over there. That lake all the way down there is the first lake that we got to, which means the car is somewhere over there. It is crazy far away though. Really putting some distance in on this one. That's our first look of the lake we're going to. Looks massive. We made it to the final lake. And it is really freaking pretty. There are people over there on like kayaks with paddles. I don't fully understand how they got those out here, but I'd love to find out. My hand looks freaking bruised to hell. It's all just blueberry juice. We found a pretty cool campsite. It's like kind of far away from the lake, but there's a path down, so it's not so bad. Nice shady hangout area. And then a nice sunny Lion King lookout rock over the entire lake. So perks are the solitude and the view, and then the cons are it's kind of a trek down to the lake, but we've just been chilling at camp, resting in the shade. Now we're gonna go down to the water. Gonna do some swimming, some fishing. If we catch a fish, gonna make fish tacos. At least that's the plan.
If that doesn't fit, it's a pretty nice night.
This is big enough, I would expect it to have its own source of fish. Fishing was a total bust. I didn't catch anything. And so dinner tonight is instead top ramen and chili mac. It's upsetting. Sunset's almost upon us. We're up here on the Lion King rock that overlooks the whole lake. And my chair is pretty precariously placed, so I might be taking a tumble tonight. So it's sunset over Mount Baker. It's now 8:30, the sunset, so we're going to bed. I'll see you in the morning. Good morning. It's another really pretty day. I think we're gonna pack up and head down to the lake and do some fishing and hanging out, and then make our way back down the 8 miles back to the car. This is our tent. This is our own personal blueberry patch. There's so many. Polar plunge. What? No, let me embrace it. Now we just got to catch a fish. I probably just scared all of them away. Fishing was a total bust. I didn't even get bites. There's one other dude there who caught a fish, but that was it. So maybe that lake's not the best for fishing, or I don't know, maybe it wasn't my day. But sort of sucks because I had a whole meal planned around catching a fish, but that's okay. Save it for another time. But so now we are just making our way back down the mountain. We got a real late start because I was really holding out for a fish. So it's like 11 a.m. right now. Probably won't get back to the car until like 4 p.m. We have an initial climb out of the lake basin to get onto like the ridge of a mountain, and then from there it's just like gradual straight down. But this initial climb out is pretty freaking steep. Back at the littler lake, the water is such a pretty color. Back at the third lake from yesterday. We've covered like 3 miles in a little under an hour and a half, so we're making good time. Of course the fish are jumping here, rubbing it in my face. And we're back at the first lake. We're on the final home stretch. There's like 1 more mile and only a tiny bit of downhill. If you run the downhill, it hurts less. Made it back to the car, headed home.